Hello, this is Diane Blake. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you a little cloth book that I'm giving as a gift to a friend named Pat. I got this idea from Katerina. I'm going to leave Katerina's information down below in the description. She made this really soft fabric book whose pages were stiffened with tissue paper, and I loved her book. She glued the pages into the book because her book was a little less chunky than mine. I've got quite a bit of different fabrics on mine, so I decided that I would go ahead and use a pamphlet stitch to hold my book together. So there are a few differences from what Katerina did. Again, this is a gift to a friend, and she hasn't seen it yet. I hope to give this to her by tomorrow. And I'm having a hard time parting with the book because I really love it, and I hardly ever part with my books, so it's going to be new for me. Anyway, this book is created with a lot of the fabrics that she gave me, and the fabric on the top that I'm using as a cover is an upholstery fabric that another friend of mine gave me named Jan. You've heard her name before when my tin book. She gave me that tin and some postage stamps to use. And anyway, this is upholstery fabric. It's got kind of tattered edges on purpose because I kind of like that rustic look. And it has a button on the front as the center of this flower design. I don't know if you can see that flower design. But anyway, it's part of that. And then this eyelet lace I backed with a green fabric that Pat gave me. And so that you can see the design, because the white and the beige on top of one another wouldn't show up very well. So. And then I put some green glass beads on top of that to give it a little shine. And that's in the middle of the little flowers. And then although this has a pamphlet stitch, you really can't see it unless you look closely. It's hidden behind the eyelet lace. And then I stitched the edge of that down. And it's meant to be rustic, and that's why the stitches are not perfectly straight, but I like that. Let's open it up and see what's inside. The first couple of pages are kind of heavy as far as design goes, but I really like them. This here is a handmade bead that I made with book pages that have been stained, and then there's different threads over the top of this to give it some texture, and then there's little beads on either side of that, and then some copper wire that goes through it to hold the bead together. Underneath that is a dinner napkin that was kind of sheer, and I put a stamp on here, and then I stitched around it to give it a little more texture. And behind that is a piece of the cloth that Pat gave me, and behind that is a piece of handmade paper, and I have the book details. I like to document my books, and it shows that I made it December 2020, that it was to Pat. It's 26 pages with 3 signatures, 4.5 inches by 3.25 inches, using a pamphlet stitch made with cloth and paper. On this side, we have another one of her pieces of cloth of fabric that she gave me, and I stitched around it with some metallic golden thread, and then I've got an applique that I put on here with some beads that I sewed on, along with a button. So it's a collage. We've got another handmade paper that I like, that I use to stiffen the pages so they don't flop around. And that's what Katerina showed me how to do, so that's what I wanted to add. And then on this side, we have 2 fabrics. We have a fabric she gave me that had text on it, and I'll show that to you in a moment, what that looks like without the sheer over the top of it. But this sheer I found at the thrift store, and it has these little embroidered vine-like leaves on it, and then I added some beads to give it a little bling. On this side I have another one of my collages with a couple of the fabrics that she gave me and a couple of buttons, and that's on top of handmade papers. So I used handmade papers throughout to stiffen the pages. Katerina used tissue paper, and it just has a different effect. I just didn't want to have to decorate every page, and by using handmade papers, allowed that paper to be the decor. This is that cloth now with the writing on it that I really liked. On this one we have another collage. It's a cloth that I used throughout this that's red, and then I added a little remnant and a little heart button, and then there's a couple. This fabric tends to fray, so I just let the frays stick out as part of the design. This side I used a lace that had rather large design on it, and it's very gold. It went with the gold that I used to trim, to outline the page, and I just cut out one piece of the motif to use. On this side, I used the same eyelet lace that's on the front of the book, except this time I let it sit on top of the entire cloth, and there we go. Let it sit on the entire cloth so that you can see what it was like before I trimmed away on the front of the book. We have a little piece of cloth. So this is a little tiny piece, so don't throw those away. And then this is a little piece of a metal leaf from a necklace, and this is just a little bead that went with it. Here we have some more of that cloth, more handmade paper with lots of grasses in it. I really like that. Gives it texture. This is a piece of black lace with lots of little beads on it. If you saw my handmade book with inside of a tin, I will link to that below. I use this lace on that tin to use as a closure. On this side, I have some more of that red material I was telling you about. And I cut out all around the embroidery that was on there so that you had a nice opportunity to just see the design. It's very soft. I enjoy touching it, so I'm sure Pat will too. In the center of this signature, there is a picture that I drew for a while. I was doing a lot of drawings. And this is a little doll, actually, that I saw on Pinterest. I just drew that face and turned it into a little girl. It's got a few differences than the doll, and I just really enjoyed making it, and I thought it would be kind of sweet to put in this book. So now we have another one of my collages, which is like 3 different little fabrics on top of this fabric with a little purple button. I'm not sure if you can see that it's purple, but it is. And now we have some more of that grass paper that continues on to the next side. I have this sweet little bird. It's a applique that I found at the store yesterday, and I just had to have this bird for this book because I just thought he went so nicely on this with the colors, and this is the other side of that eyelet fabric or lace, and I just let it wrap around, and it's kind of loose. It's not really tied on except where the bird is, so that's kind of nice. This is the third signature, and the cloth or the fabric was rather busy, so I decided that I would just not do a lot of decorating, but except to add this upholstery trim. We've got another one of my collages. I used a button that has a little bit of gold in it, so that goes with the gold that's in this book. A couple more fabrics on top of the handmade paper. And this one is another collage made with some more of the fabrics that she gave me, with a button, some eyelet lace, and a little bead. More of the handmade paper. And then another collage, which has got some rusting tea bag paper, some paper that's used as for making clothing. And then we've got some textured paper and another button. You had a large piece of lace, so I just cut out a couple of chunks of it so that it would fit on this page. Barely fit, but I thought it was nice. Gave it a little more texture. Here's another one of the embroidery pieces from that red cloth that I really like. On this page, I had that really busy cloth, or with, you know, the busy pattern, and so I covered that so it wasn't quite so busy with some more of that dinner napkin that's really sheer. Added some of the upholstery fabric from the cover, and then a little more of that embroidery design from that red cloth on there. And it kind of flops up, but I kind of like being able to stick my finger under there and gives it a little more texture. Okay, last page, it's the back cover. I have another dinner napkin that had this pretty little embroidery on it, and I decided that I would go outline it with some kind of a white gold thread. I guess I don't know what kind of thread to call it, except it's kind of a metallic-y thread. And I used that same thread to outline the edge, and then I added another stamp. So the cover has stamps on both the front and the back. And there you are, there's the back. There's always going to be threads coming off of this. Anyway, so it's kind of chunky. It's kind of squishy. I like being able to squish it around. And I'm going to miss this little book, but I'm going to give it to my friend because she deserves it. And I thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any comments or concerns or questions, please leave them down in the comments section below. And if you like this video, please press the like button. And if you want to subscribe, I'd surely appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be putting together another video soon. Bye-bye.